Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vidura Madhu Prabhu. Hare Krishna, devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat Pranam, Prabhu.
Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Anukul Prabhu, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radhe. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Prahlad Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। श्री
अरे रे बबलू, ये पानी लेना था।
राम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन
मैं
की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत गौरभक्त वृंद की जय, गौरभक्त प्रेम आनंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Shri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram Srivasangan chapter. Saturday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is a summary class of the first canto, 14th chapter, the second half. That means verse number 23 to 44. So this chapter is basically entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. So this is a very major event in the history of this universe. That is the Lord winding up his activities. The Lord appears in various incarnations that we know, and there are innumerable incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Lord personally coming, that doesn't happen very often, and it happens once in a day of Brahma. That means in so many millions and millions of years, once he comes. And so does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comes after Lord Krishna's coming to this universe. So that's a very, 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 very momentous occasion. And how can we understand about the Lord actually winding up his activities from this universe? So we may have to wait for one more day of Brahma if at all we want to remain in this material world, continue to remain in this material world for that much period. So this is an amazing event in one sense, and therefore let's try to understand this. Here it is more explained more in terms of running up to that understanding that the Lord has left has wound up his pastimes and gone back to Goloka Vrindavan through the eyes of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that is what we are seeing here, and there are nice, wonderful explanations given by Prabhupada as we go in this journey. So let's look at them. I will read the first verse both in Sanskrit and this. The rest of the verses we will just read the translation and then try to understand them. Tam padayor nipatitam ayata purvam aturam ado vadanam abhindun shrijantam nayanabjayoho. When he bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down and tears glided from his lotus eyes. Om Agyam Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurudmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Besha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. So now here it starts with the point of actually Arjun coming back. He was sent by Yudhishthira Maharaj to go and visit Krishna and all the other friends of them. And Arjuna was gone for almost more than 7 months or so, and there was no news of his return. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very concerned, and he was discussing this with Bhimasena. And at this point in time, actually Arjuna returns. And this particular verse talks about Arjuna's state when he comes and first takes darshan of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He actually pays his obeisances, and then he is in completely dejected state. Like, it's mentioned that dejection was unprecedented. As I was saying, it is not an ordinary event, to come to terms that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has actually wound out his pastimes in this material world and has gone back. So this is unprecedented from the point of view of Arjuna and the entire devotee community who were actually present in the universe at that point in time. So he was he was literally crying incessantly. Tears glided from his lotus eyes, what has been written. So we will go down further next to the other verses. Seeing Arjuna pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narada, questioned him in the midst of friends. So the word anxiety is used. Anxiety is there only in the material world, right? In the spiritual world, it is Vaikunta. That means a place where there's no anxiety. But these are all pure devotees of the Lord. But when the separation of the Lord, they are actually feeling that anxiety. That is how we understand this. Then the next verse, here also Prabhupada has not given any specific purport. The next verse. Maharaja Yudhishthira said, "My dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives such as Madhu, Bhoja, Dasharaha, Arha, Satwa, Andaka, and the members of the Yadu family are all passing their days in happiness." So here is where the questioning of Yudhishthira Maharaj is starting. Seeing his brother in such a state of shock, he is trying to elicit from him the reason why he is like this. So in fact, you can see here Arjuna is speechless, like, he is incessantly crying and he is so pale. So Yudhishthira is trying to give him some small questions to ask, is this wrong? Is that wrong? What happened? Like that. And the entire series is almost different questions by Yudhishthira Maharaj, and all through you will find Arjuna is still not able to answer the question. Many verses, almost 20 verses, he will not still be answering, but Yudhishthira Maharaj will be asking one after the other. So that we will see. So he's first asking about all the members of the Yadu family, like all the relatives of Krishna in different relations. So he's asking about them, how are they passing their days? Basically, he's suspecting, okay, is there something wrong with them that, you are feeling so sad, like that. Then, is my respectable grandfather, Surasena, in a happy mood? And are my maternal uncle, Vasudeva, and his younger brother all doing well? And we know here Vasudeva, his maternal uncle, and he has 7 wives, of which Devaki is the primary, like the most like senior in that. And then we all know Kṛṣṇa is son of Devaki, and therefore he indirectly talking about Kṛṣṇa and his father, his mother, like that. Then the next question is, are Ugrasena, whose son was the mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother still living? Are Hridika and his son Kritavarma happy? Are Akrura, Jayanta, Gada, Sarana, and Satrajit all happy? How is Balrama, the personality of Godhead and the protector of devotees? Kachit aste Shukam Ramo Bhagavan Satvatam Prabhu. So the question here is, Hastinapur is the capital of these Pandavas, and they are there, and Arjuna had gone to Dwaraka. So the expectation is, while coming from Dwaraka back to Hastinapura, which is basically near Delhi, Hastinapura is near Delhi, and Mathura is very close by there. So on the way from Dwaraka, Yudhishthira's expectation is he goes and visits Mathura, and then from there he tries to have understanding of all the relatives of Krishna in Mathura, and then from there he comes back to Hastinapura, which is near Delhi. So this is therefore the question that, while he has gone to Dwaraka, but why is he asking about Mathura related questions? So therefore Prabhupada explains, this is natural, that it is expected that, he goes there and comes, not that he just simply comes from Dwaraka. And he's asking the most important question, about, he's talking about Lord Balram, as this word I read, Shukam Ramo. So Ramo means, all of us have this thing, right? We don't ask say the full name when we are very close with people. We simply call them with some short names, with some names which we are very they're some kind of pet names we have for different people, like that. So they are simply calling Balram as Ramo. So they are saying Shukam Ramo Bhagavan Satvatam Prabhu, and they are referring to Balram as Bhagavan. They means Yudhishthira Maharaj is referring to Balram as Bhagavan. So that means we understand very clearly that the Pandavas clearly know that Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sri Krishna, and of course Balram. All of that also we will see here. So he's understanding Balram is the first expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Vishnu Tattva, that's what Prabhupada is writing. And he's considered as the Prakasha Vigraha of Lord Krishna. Balram is the Prakasha Vigraha of Lord Krishna. Now, here there are a lot of discussions about this expansion, but what one needs to understand here is that these expansions of the Lord are innumerable, and there are two types of expansions. One is the Lord's expansion, which is not separated from him, and then there is the other expansion which is separated from him. So everything is actually part and parcel of the Lord, including the jivas. But what we need to understand is those which are not separated from him are actually as potent as him, because there is no difference between him and that expansion. But there are these other expansions of the Lord which are separated entities from the Lord, and those are basically the jivas, or the living entities, or the various different souls which are caught up in the various bodies in this material world. Of course, there are many who are actually there in the transcendental spiritual world. That also we will discuss at a later point in time. Therefore, we need to be very clearly understanding that, against this Mayavad concept that, I am also God. When we say Aham Brahmasmi, they think, I am also God. That concept is wrong. That simply says, I am spirit soul. And you are qualitatively same as that supreme soul, but you are only Anu. That is important. Anu means very small particle of that, and it is separated entity from that Lord. That we need to understand. Anybody who thinks that I am also equivalent to God, he is to be condemned. This here Prabhupada writes that very strongly. That one needs to be clearly understood. But Balram is the other aspect, that is from the part of the Vishnu Tattva, and therefore not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That same Balaram, actually, if you see, he is there along with the Supreme Personality of Godhead whenever he descends to this material world, or for that matter, wherever he goes, he is always there with the Lord. So when to our immediate attention is Nityananda Prabhu, right? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, or when Kṛṣṇa came in the mood of Radharani as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then along with him came Nityananda Prabhu, and he's not different from Balram. And we always know the Lord is so merciful, particularly in his expansion of Balram, that Balram is spoken here as the protector. See, it says, right, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Satvatam, of the devotees, Prabhoho, protector. That is the translation. Therefore, the Balram is the protector of the devotees. So the Lord Krishna in the form of Balram is the primary, that form he uses to actually pull back the jivas back to Godhead. So Balram therefore is the representation of the Adi Guru, that means of the highest spiritual master. And all the acharyas and all the other disciplic succession, whoever are coming in the disciplic succession and who are saving the souls, they are all to be considered as representatives of this Adi Guru, who is Balram. And only by his mercy that one can actually think of actually going back to Godhead. So that means without the mercy of Balram or his representatives in the form of the various acharyas and the disciplic succession, without their mercy one cannot go back to Godhead. So that is something which we need to be very clear about. Many people try to jump directly, like that I have a lot of intimate relationship with Krishna. They just go to the temple, they look at the deity, and they think I don't want anything within the various acharyas, the gurus in the temple related. They simply say, no, why I want to connect to all these people? These are all, after all, human beings. They are all troublesome. So I would actually have a direct relationship with the God. Why I need middlemen? They say that, no. Why do I need a middleman? But this is not some speculative way of thinking about God or spiritual life. This is a perfect science, and one needs to understand this science. For a simple education, we go to so many different institutions and to various universities and study for hundreds of years, literally, right? Today, these days, if you see, many people go on studying till 40 years of age or 45 years of age. When they do this PhD and all this stuff, 5-7 years, and after your post-graduation, so many things. But then when you talk about the ultimate knowledge, the most highest knowledge, in Bhagavad Gita it is spoken, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. So this knowledge is the highest knowledge, but for that we speculate. Oh, no, I think, it is like this, if I go take darshan of the Lord, and some other fellows, even more intelligent, they think, why should I even go to temple? The Lord is there everywhere in my heart only, I will pray. But he can never think of the Lord inside this heart, because that requires also a big science which will take few years, not few years, few janmas to actually practice. That is all there in Ashtanga Yoga. When you follow that process of Ashtanga Yoga, we can see the Lord inside our heart, but not otherwise. But these fellows think, no, why should I go to the temple? At least you see the form of the Lord made in whatever, the either the marble or the wood or the stone or the the painting. But they think, no, I will see inside directly. Is it so easy that you go and see inside your heart directly? All this is complete bogus kind of a thinking, all speculation when we have very little intelligence. But somehow we think like this. Therefore, here the importance of Balram is made known. And these are the intricacies, right? When we follow, when we are trying to understand from a parampara, when we try to understand from a authorized thing, these are things, okay, Balram, yes, I know Balram, yeah, he's a character, you can go on thinking like that. But what is the depth of that? And therefore, what is that we take home? And therefore, how do we apply that in our life? That is what we learn from an institution like ISKCON, where it able to, Prabhupada has given so beautifully the minute details. And if we catch it, it is so simple. Spiritual life is never so difficult that, it is mind-boggling that I cannot understand. No. But thing is, we speculate and therefore it becomes mind-boggling. But if we follow the simple processes, it is very, very easy. So now let's go to the next verse. How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? So here the commentary by Srila Prabhupada is, the Supreme Lord, when he comes with this entire entourage. If he is coming as an incarnation itself, there is so many, delegation of so many spiritual entities coming out here. But if he is personally coming, what can you imagine? So therefore, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Balram, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Kṛṣṇa, everyone actually comes. So here it is talked about Kṛṣṇa. Pradyumna is another form of the Lord. They are also referred to as Bhagavan. So Pradyumna is actually the son of Kṛṣṇa, and Aniruddha is his grandson. But basically they are all the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But elsewhere also Prabhupada had written about this Pradyumna actually being, Kamadeva also. So there are different times it could have happened. Like, so that's been combinedly referred here sometimes when Prabhupada writes here as Pradyumna, as this Pradyumna. Elsewhere he has also written that Pradyumna is actually the incarnation of Cupid, like that. But anyway, when the Supreme Lord comes, all of his expansion, including Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Balram, everybody comes. Aniruddha, everybody comes. So that's been mentioned here. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Kṛṣṇa, such as Surasena, Charu Desna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well? So this is the next question. The entire lineage of Sri Krishna. We all know Lord Sri Krishna had 16,108 wives, and through each of these 16,108 wives, he had 10 male children. So now that is, if you have to add them, that comes to 1,61,080 children. Krishna himself fathered. Now, each of them had similar number of children has been mentioned by Prabhupada. Therefore, that means each one of them, like having 10 children. Therefore, this becomes 16,10,800 family members, only the male members of under Krishna's lineage. And you can add that 16,108 wives had one female children, and each of them, I don't know how many children they had. So this Krishna, when he came, just in that 125 years, he was having such a huge family. 16,10,800 male members in that family. Now it is mentioned by Prabhupada, Krishna is actually, why only 10,800 people, right? As his children. The entire universe, all humans, animals, whatever living it is, everybody are children of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then, but when he actually comes, the chosen ones are the real, someone who you will call as Nitya Siddha. That means one who's also a Jiva, but who's eternally connected to the Supreme Lord. Like we are also children, we also think of Krishna in many, we remember Krishna, we are sometimes very favorable to him, we consider, we feel sometimes very surrendered to him. So, but then we are not always in that mood. That is there at sometimes when, sometimes it's a few seconds or maybe a few moments like that. But then we come back to our normal material consciousness to think that, we are so and so, like, I am male, female, I am father, I am mother, I am whatever, all these other projections come in our mind, other than actually understanding that I am the son of Krishna or daughter of Krishna, or whatever relationship that we have with Krishna. We forget that. Therefore, it requires the highest level of relationship for one to be considered in this category of this 16,10,800. That's something which we need to understand. And therefore here Yudhishthira can't remember all of these 1,61,080 sons. So he is only referring to the chieftains. That means the top sons of Krishna. How are they? Not just referring to everyone out there. Not practically possible. Then the next one. Also, Shrutadeva, Uddhava and others, Nanda, Sunanda and other leaders of liberated soul who are constant companions of the Lord are protected by Lord Balarama and Krishna. Are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in the relationship with us, remember our welfare? See, what we need to understand here is, he is asking, are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in relationship with us, remember our welfare? So this is something which we need to understand. We just discussed about this position of all these family members of Krishna. Then he is now relating them back to the Pandavas, where he is saying, they are all eternally related to us. So this is a point made by Yudhishthira, and he's saying, eternally bound in relationship with us, remember our welfare. So he's asking, do they remember us? Are they in, also thinking about us just like we are thinking about them? So this is very important. We need to understand that the Pandavas are also actually in that kind of a Nitya Siddhas. So sometimes we think of them as ordinary people who are in trouble, like Arjuna is so confused. This Yudhishthira is someone who gambled away everything, including his wife. We sometimes think of them in very low terms, that these are very ordinary people, or people who are sometimes not intelligent, people who are someone like us, maybe a little more powerful in terms of the archery or whatever, but then otherwise they are ordinary people. No, they are not ordinary people, and they are also of the level of the highest in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Each one of them, all the 5 brothers, all their wives, their children, everybody are so intimately connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is something which Prabhupada highlights to us here. So, and Prabhupada explains, if we forget our relationship with that Supreme Personality of Godhead, unlike these Pandavas who in their ups and downs, they are always taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But talking of the other jivas who on and off take protection of the Lord, but then when everything is favorable, I think it is I am the doer. When everything is not, some people, like, at least when things are not going well, we take the shelter of the Lord. That is good. But some people are completely thinking I am the doer of whatever. They say good and bad, I can manage everything, that kind of mood. But there are some who say when bad comes, they go to the Lord, oh Lord, please protect me. When good is there, they think, actually, no, I am so great, I have done this, I have got this capacity, I have done this those kind of things, they happen. Each one is relatively, closer to the Lord in one sense. This is better than saying for everything good and bad, I am only responsible. Like, no, I don't care. There is nothing called God. Everything is in my hand. If I can manage things better, then I will be good. If I am not able to manage, then I am bad, but that's okay. That kind of people are also there. The atheistic people, compared to them, those who at least go when something is bad to the Lord, and then, other times they may not be so much thinking favorably or even thinking about the Lord. They are still better than the other kind of people. But net, if we don't remember the Lord, then we are coming back, birth after birth, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam. That cycle of birth, death, old age and disease will continue to repeat. But these Pandavas and all the relatives of the Lord are all Nitya Siddhas. That means they are always in remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next verse. Is Lord Kṛṣṇa the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses and the Brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwaraka Puri, surrendered by friends. So he's now coming to the point of Kṛṣṇa, but he is not asking about the well-being of the Lord. But if you see, he's asking about, is he enjoying? Right, well-being, though there is no question of well-being of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is always perfectly well. But are the association of the devotees giving him pleasure? This is what is the question that they are asking. And about the Dham, the Dwaraka Puri, whether he is surrounded by all his friends, and are they, is he enjoying nicely with all these people? And here the words used are very nice. If you see, Bhagavan api Govindo Brahmanyo Bhaktavatsala, Bhaktavatsalaha. This is the word used about to refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa here. So Bhagavan, we know, Bhagavan means the one who has all the 6 opulences. Right? What are the 6 opulences? The one who has all the riches, one who has all beauty, the one who has all power, one who has all fame, one who has all renunciation, and what else? There's one more, all knowledge. Okay, so it is not some knowledge or very good knowledge, but all. That means there is anything and everything under that umbrella of knowledge is all his property. He is the possessor of all of that. Now money austerity, or austerity means renunciation. Everything, he is the supreme person. He is the one who is the possessor of everything. We all may have little of something or the other, right? One may have little money, one may have little beauty, one may have little power, but the Supreme Lord has all of that. And if at all we claim to have a little of that, that is actually his, nothing of ours. It is just a reflection of his, that we are actually having that little quality, whatever we have. But it is all, he is the proprietor of all of these opulence. Bhaga, the word is Bhaga. So one who owns all these things, Bhagavan. The one who owns is Van, Bhagavan. So like that. So this is Bhagavan. Then the other word mentioned is Govinda. That means the one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses and the Brahmanas. Govinda, Brahmanyo, Bhakta Vatsalaha. And of course the protector of the devotees, Bhakta Vatsala, one who is the protector of the devotees. Now here the word, here the Prabhupada gets into a little bit of a discussion about the point of protecting of these cows and the Brahmanas. Therefore, any civilization means that civilization should have primary responsibility of protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. If wherever there is no protection for the cows and Brahmanas, that society is doomed. That we are seeing in today's, very clearly in today's modern world, where there are so many slaughterhouses everywhere. People take pleasure in eating the cows. Where that is happening, then we can clearly understand that the Lord is not present there. And more importantly, or rather from the point of view of the of the protection of these people, we can take it for granted they don't have protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Bhakta Vatsala does not come into play where there is no protection for the cows and the Brahmanas. So every society should ensure the cow is given the right place. There are many writings in the Vedic scriptures that if only you actually have the cows, everything that the human requires is taken care. Everything. This is somewhere also I've read, if the cows are protected, the cows are actually created by the Lord to just give the needs of the human beings. So when human beings are sent to this material world to enjoy, he sent the cows along with them, because the cow is one, I don't know, if we all consider ourselves machines, then that one machine called cow is actually to facilitate all the other requirements, right? So therefore, if you are able to simply protect the cows, the human civilization can be so very perfect. The cow, even, so many animals are there, but the kind of things that a cow can give, including a cow can, even if I am lunatic in my mind, a cow can actually revive me from my lunatism. There are so many things where they say, you go into a cow shed where children are little lunatic, very restless. There are so many things like that. Send those children to the Goshala and let them play with the cows, let them do some service to the cows. Actually, the child becomes this one. These are all, there are practically, even today, some places these are being done, and there are results which are very favorable like that. So it is there. Right from cow, many situations we have seen a cow, we say dogs are very loyal, but cow actually if shed tears if someone in the family passes away. This is like this. So cow is so important. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa just does not care if some society is not protecting the cows, but also the Brahmanas. Without the Brahmana, there is no civilization. Otherwise, we are mostly an animal kingdom, right? We can call ourselves humans, but we need the Brahmanas to guide us to be humans. Humans means it is not about gentlemanly behavior. That is fine, that is nice, and that is great. But beyond that, the human form is to realize the purpose of human life. That means, why am I here? Who am I? What is the purpose of life? And this knowledge is given by the Brahmana who's having this knowledge of the Brahman. Therefore, he is called a Brahman. And therefore, it is important for the society to protect these Brahmanas and then learn from them. The idea of protection is to give them that place of high ground, and then we serve them, and we also learn from them how to understand about our existence. How do I get rid of this birth, death, old age, and disease, and how do I go back to Godhead? So that is very important. Prabhupada gives a nice example, like it's this example of there are certain, like for example, if you want to light a fire, you need wood, right? You need wood. Wood is also earth, right? But then that earth in the form of the wood is required to actually light a fire. Like this, in this society, so many people are there, so all humans cannot actually become that touch, that one who can light up our consciousness. That person who's like a wood is the Brahmana, and through him we can light that lamp of fire. That's important. So that's what Prabhupada is actually giving, that nice analogy. So we will continue with the next verse. The original personality of Godhead, the enjoyer, and Balarama, the primeval Lord Ananta, are staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. So this is very beautiful, right? We should understand these poetical things if we are able to appreciate. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj, in spite of all the, in his mind, so much calamities you have already seen in the previous thing, how Yudhishthira Maharaj is very disturbed, seeing that the inauspicious signs are happening, that you would have covered in the last Saturday. But then in that mood also, how he can think so poetically to think, he's now relating this place of Kṛṣṇa in the material world, the Mathura, he is equating to that spiritual world of Vaikuntha. So if you see the Kṛṣṇa, the supreme personality of Godhead, when he expanded as Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, Shirodaka Sai Vishnu. That means when from the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, many millions of planets came out from the pores of his body, from his breathing. So many planets came out, and when many of these planets came out, the Supreme Lord expanded as Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. So in every huge universes, if you see on that top of that universe, you will find the place where Shirodaka Sai Vishnu is lying down in the milk ocean. So this planetary system, that universe means I am not talking about one planet. It is a big universal system within which billions of planets are actually floating. But all of this is encompassed, it's like if you see inside a football, there are many small, let's say marbles. Each of them are floating, and that space between the two marbles is actually the space what we are seeing. But this also has a covering. But let's say on the top of it is Shirodaka Sai Vishnu. He is lying down in this ocean of milk. And here it is mentioned here, comparative to that, this place of Mathura, where Kṛṣṇa was saying. So it is compared to this Shirodaka Sai. Kṛṣṇa is compared to the Shirodaka Sai Vishnu, and Balaram is compared to Ananta Dev, because in the Shirodaka Sai Vishnu, Kṛṣṇa is lying down on the Adisesha. So here Balaram, so the Mathura is described as the Vaikuntha, and Kṛṣṇa is the Vishnu Tattva there. That means the Shirodaka Sai Vishnu, and that Shirodaka Sai Vishnu is lying down on Adisesha, which is actually Balaram, and of course here also he is there. Okay, then okay, then he is talking about the Yadus, the members of the Kṛṣṇa's family, as all as the inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Loka. Again, coming to this point of Nitya Siddhas, these people are eternally liberated people who are Kṛṣṇa's relatives, who are Krishna's friends in either whatever, Dwaraka or Mathura, all of these places, where Krishna is, that is Vaikuntha, right? There's no question of it. So now the point mentioned also, little elaboration Prabhupada gives, like this planetary system, what we are in, and there are other millions and millions of many planetary systems like this. But what happens is it is all put inside like an egg. So you see space, what we see is, oh, the space is there. But you keep going up, 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 up. You go and see up to this point of the top. But beyond there, actually, there is a covering. And there are 7 layers of coverings, I believe. Like, these 7 layers of covering are again made of these 5 elements, or, let's say one layer is of actually earth, that means rock and all that. Now the next layer, if it is, I don't remember exactly what sequence, but next layer, assume it is fire. Now that layer is double the size of the earth layer. Above the fire, let's say there is ether, that is double the size of this fire, like this. Therefore, there is so much of, like in a prison house, if you see, there are various layers of a thief that he cannot escape from that, right? There'll be one wall, and then they will put some glasses over that, and then maybe that side, if you see, there will be a lot of water, like, he can't jump over, there will be water, and these sometimes some electrical fence like this and all that. Like this shell of this universe is having many layers, that which it's not easy to go out of this so easily. But once you go out of all of these things, you come and take you go into that sky, which is basically the spiritual sky. So when you come out, you think, you've reached. Actually, you come back and you find one more beautiful sky, and that sky is actually the spiritual sky, where you see the Karanodaka Sai Vishnu. And then there are billions and trillions of planets, and all of these planets are called Vaikuntha planets. So we just imagine we are sitting inside. I always think of, supposing there's an ant or a very small microorganism. It is in your house in some part of a small table or somewhere. For that microorganism to think that this is actually a table, and this is so much distance or space it occupies, and beyond this table, there is something called a room in which it is there, and beyond that room there is the city, and beyond that city there is that small street, and you keep on going like this. Unimaginable for that small microorganism to understand all these things. How will he explore that? There is a city called Delhi, and sitting on that small table as a microorganism. Our abilities are so minuscule, but we are looking at everything from a perspective of our knowledge. That is the most sad part of it. How much can this microorganism come to the realization? We sitting as a human being can understand all these things, but a microorganism, it only looks at it from the sphere of how much it would have traveled within the table, in its own lifetime. Because for it is like, few billions of kilometers if you have to transverse that entire sofa or whatever. For a microorganism, think of it like that. And how he will conclude? He will conclude this is the ultimate universe, right? A small table or a chair. But we know beyond that there are so many things like this. The scriptures tell us, Baba, where you are living and you are thinking a great thing. I have gone to space. Oh, space. Space is like, few centimeters in that scale, right? So what have we achieved by going 2 centimeters above our place of living? So this is all something which we need to understand through scriptures, which gives ultimate knowledge. We'll go to the next verse. The personality of Godhead, the enjoyer. Okay, this we have studied. Very nice comparison that we saw. Then simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens of Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controllers of thunderbolts. Now, the word beautifully used. Huh? The queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. That means, see, it talks about the greatness one enjoy when we are connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here the example taken is Satyabhama, who is Krishna's wife, And she actually got this opportunity to go with Krishna. She went to Naraka. Deepavali is coming. This Narakasura, he had made one amazing planetary system or whatever you call it. And then Krishna took her from here to that place. So it's not easy to go to such places. But Krishna took Satyabhama to that place. Why that? Krishna actually took her to the place where Indra and Chandra live. And we imagine, Arjuna also went. He even went to Vaikuntha Loka and took darshan of Lord Vishnu. Krishna's own expansion, of course, but he took darshan of Vishnu in Vaikuntha Loka. So, like this, I mean, a simple jiva, how can he go into space without even a space suit, right? But when Krishna is there, anything is possible. So that happened. And here, example given is about Satyabhama, who actually went with Krishna to the spiritual world and met all the who's who of the demigod world, like Indra, his mother. She was introduced to Indra, his wife, and then she took her and introduced it to the mother of all the demigods, Aditi. And Aditi then showed her so many things that we mortals can ever imagine, seeing kind of things. And then she had a wonderful time like this. And of course, she also, Prabhupada writes about her. The point here is because she was serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in fact, the Prabhupada writes that Satyabhama took lessons from Draupadi, how to please, the husbands. In her case, her husband is Krishna. Therefore, how to make my husband happy, Krishna happy, that is the most important thing. And Draupadi is expert in that, I believe. And because she had 5 husbands and she served them very well, everybody were so pleased with her services. And therefore, Satyabhama went and took classes from Draupadi, how to please Krishna. Now, that is also Prabhupada's writing there. And like this, all these women, in fact, Prabhupada, Satyabhama, here this verse, it looks like, Krishna is these, they're saying, they're inducing Krishna to do some things like that. It has been written. Is it like Krishna is an ordinary husband, like mortal husband who is doing things because his wife is pushing him to do? We can see that in our material life. Both partners, husband will push the wife to do certain things for him, and the wife will push the husband to do certain things. And it all looks very materialistic, right? He or she is very, lusting for the other person, and therefore they will do whatever the other person says, kind of a thing. But here it is the Lord, and therefore we cannot think it in those terms. But what we need to understand is that Lord will do anything for someone who's having that loving relationship with him. Means one who's trying to serve the Lord will go to any extent to help that person or please that person. We clearly understand it is not attraction to the body, just like a human thing. I talked about lusting over the other partner. But this is not lusting, because we know about Krishna's quality. He is complete renunciation. So that is another day we will talk about it. I may not have the time, but we can never look at Krishna to say, okay, this is like ordinary relationship wise, the 16,108 wife, and then, he's either, lusting after them, or that, he's so much of like an ordinary husband serving for material benefits, exchanges material. No, not like that. But he does it out of his love, because he is reciprocating the love of the jiva to him. And therefore she desires, I want that parijata flower. Okay, I will get that for you. He went and he had a big fight with the owners of the thunderbolts, right? Indra, and just defeated him, and he brought the parijata flower to his wife, who decided to have it in her garden. Just imagine. Krishna is complete protector, and one who's a devotee to him, that is a complete different ball game. And there Krishna reaches out to that extent that he doesn't care what is what. Just that in his mind it is about that devotee's happiness, that devotee's welfare. That's all. He does not bother, and everything else falls in place, because that person has the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The next verse. The great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Sri Krishna, always remains fearless in even every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigods deserved, but which was taken away from them. So this is another example, not just the wife. The entire society of the Lord's relatives and friends and all, no, they were never behaving like ordinary people. They didn't have personally any big power. They were not even like Arjuna, who was the greatest warrior or anything like that. But these people dared to go to the spiritual world and say, no, this assembly, it is required down there. You please, I will take it away. I mean, right? When you look at the White House, for example, in our universe, in our Earth planet, that is supposed to be the most opulent place, right? Or if you talk about Putin's palace, right? And there are some leaders of the international world who have gone and had the pleasure of being a guest in Putin's palace, and they talk about it. Wow, kind of a thing. But even our own, if you look at our own Parliament House, and we are now built a very nice, beautiful thing. No, that is not up to the mark. Let us build something so great, because this civilization is so advanced. We want something best, right? And our government should be in such a great assembly. Our leaders, our president, prime ministers, and all our representatives should sit in a very opulent house, like be it the White House or be it our parliament or be it wherever. We want all the best things on the planet like this. And then what about Krishna? It's not ordinary, right? So Krishna, even though he's in this, we cannot manufacture those kind of things what the demigods have, because this is material world. We can't imagine what kind of things those fellows have in terms of enjoyment, right? We can only speculate, but they have the ultimate enjoyment of whatever they want. But then Krishna is here, but we can't manufacture all this ourselves. Let's go and bring it from there. This is the mood of these devotees. They went and literally dragged that whatever that assembly, where that Parliament House of the highest material place, like the Indraloka. From there, they just bring that place and say, no, this is the best that we can offer to you, Krishna. Please, you govern from here. That kind of thing. So they are very small people, but with Krishna's protection, anything can happen. Like you are the kings. There's nothing that you need to worry about. And you can clearly see this. Prabhupada, just take this example. Prabhupada was fearless, completely fearless. He will go to, there are many people, this Prabhupada's disciples will be like 6 foot, 6.5 foot, those big bodies. But Prabhupada will be walking there amongst them, and they all felt protected when Prabhupada is there. Prabhupada is a small form, right? Prabhupada is not such a bodybuilder kind of a form that he had, or neither. Very simple, very old man. But many of them have very clearly said, where Prabhupada is there, we feel protected. Even some physical dangers are there at times, no? Everybody feels threatened. But Prabhupada, when he is there, they feel that shelter. That clearly there in Prabhupada, there have been, we are talking, see here today, we are preaching, and sometimes we feel we are threatened when we are preaching. But Prabhupada, if you read Prabhupada Srilamrita, you will know, Prabhupada is addressing 2,000 people. Right, 2,000 people is addressing in a foreign nation and in a university, and there are hundreds and hundreds of boys who are actually garrowing Prabhupada, boys and girls. They are shouting abuses. Basically, they are thinking, Christianity is best, and therefore this Prabhupada is coming and changing all these people like that. And either or they think Prabhupada is actually when there is a commotion in their country, that the government is against the government, they are protesting, and they think that Prabhupada is actually saying, when Prabhupada talks about like kings and you have to follow the order of the Raja king, they get the impression that this Prabhupada is an agent of the government, and therefore he is trying to canvas them to follow the government, and while they are actually feeling they are being oppressed by the government. In modern context, government is not really welfare government, right? We can see. But they did not understand Prabhupada's message, and therefore they started garrowing Prabhupada. In fact, there are many places where it became such a dangerous situation that, how many young men and women, right, trying to abuse and trying to agitated men. If you are there, you will run away from such place. But Prabhupada never moved. He will still boldly and face them and tell them on their face what is wrong, right? It is not easy for someone to do. But Prabhupada is someone who is fearless, not because of his, his power of, just like I am a very powerful man in terms of my muscles and things like that. But it is because he had the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He never feared anything. I mean, if you think deeply into this, there's very nicely written, like, because these people are not in an imaginary world. That is important. See, fear comes when we are in an imaginary world. Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. Let's say we are sleeping. In that sleep, we suddenly get a very terrorizing dream. Prabhupada uses the example of a tiger. But we have so many dreams where so many that we are falling off from somewhere, or some very horrible creatures are, chasing us. So many things like this is there. Now this fellow is immediately in the dream, that person who's sleeping, he is feeling that fear, and then but there is another person who's not sleeping next to him, is just simply sitting there. And then this person who's sleeping next to him, he's in a terrified state, but the other person sitting next to him who's not sleeping is feeling nothing. Now there's no real tiger there at all, right? It is only in his dream. He's living in a world, imaginary world, where there is this tiger. The other person is living in the normal world where he's not sleeping, therefore he doesn't see the tiger. Like this, those who are Nitya Siddhas, those who are actually understanding Krishna, for them there is no tiger. But to those who are sleeping, that means who are in the forgetfulness of consciousness, they are in fear, because they are actually imagining things which are not true. They are in a different world of their consciousness, and therefore they are perceiving all these fears. But to those who are situated in their actual constitutional position, for them there is no fear, because they know they are completely under the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like a child, when some people throw the child up and then catch it, right? The child actually feels so happy. It doesn't fear at all, because it knows that I am under the protection of my father, who is actually playing with me like this. So like this, the Lord, one who understands this position of the Supreme Personality of God, has no fear. It doesn't matter. Sometimes, the day we were talking, does the Lord protect the body, like this and all that. Yes, the point is, first thing is, we have to understand I am the soul, and the Lord protects the soul 200% or 5,000% or whatever it is. There's no question. Anyone who's a devotee, when he passes away, he is under the control of the Lord. That means he goes back to Vaikuntha Loka. That is cannot be said for a normal jiva. So we know that protection of the Lord is there, but it is only for the soul, but not for the body. But that is also not true, because the Lord protects us every minute. Like, we are surrounded by so many germs. That day I was talking to one doctor. So he said, this TB today in India is endemic. But that doesn't mean the TB is not there. The TB virus is all around us, inside us also. But only thing is, it is sleeping, right? That means it is not like we are secure. It is there, but we are protected. The Lord is giving us the opportunity to, he says that whatever that TB medication, that actually makes that thing sleep, and it sleeps for eternity, I believe. Therefore we are not affected by TB. India, we have eradicated TB, that's what they say, but it is endemic, is what they say, which means these viruses are very much present in our environment, but we are not killed. That means that who gave the intelligence to produce that whatever medicine to reduce this effect of these viruses, so that we don't get TB? Supreme Personality of God. Like this, there are many instances. Sometimes I just step, I suddenly see a car coming so fast. I don't know what intelligence gave me. I just moved out and I was saved by a whisk of a second. Then who did this? It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But we think, no, somehow it happened. Or sometimes I think I was very alert, I escaped. But everywhere, padam padam vipadam. This is the material world. Every step that we are there, it is dangerous. We don't know how it is. But we need to understand that and be very fixed up in that thing, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there to take care of me. And anyway, body is perishable. One day or the other it will perish, but my soul is always protected. That is something which we need to understand. Then next verse. Give me another 5 to 7 minutes, we'll finish. My brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwaraka? So now about each one's ego. Like, is your ego hurt that someone said something bad about you, which you are insulted you, which makes you particularly a Kshatriya? Naturally, he will feel dejected if something like this happened. Today, we don't bother. Everybody is thick-skinned, they say, no? But there people are sensitive. So if something is not treated well or something, then they feel bad about it, and therefore bad means they are very sensitive. They are very sharp to all such things, criticisms and things like that. So he's asking, is this something like that happened? Then has someone addressed you with unfriendly words or threatened you? Could you not give charity to one who asked, or could you not keep your promise to someone? These are all traits. Today we don't even think about it, right? If someone asked us for some charity, if we don't give, uh, we don't care a foot, right? We think, who is he to ask me? But the Kshatriyas have that duty to, when someone asks them, they have to give. That is a Kshatriya's responsibility. And therefore, if by any chance were you not in a position to give them something, and therefore are you feeling so wretched, like this thing happened, or did you not keep a promise? You promised someone something and you didn't do it. We keep giving false promises left, right, and center today. We don't even remember or think that I gave a promise to someone, right? But it is not so. Particularly in those times, and particularly Kshatriyas, they have to keep their promise. Kṛṣṇa, we know that, right? Amazing personality. How he kept his promise by giving his life itself. These things are there. The next one is, you are always the protector of the deserving living beings, such as Brahmanas, children, cows, women, and the deceased. Could you not give the protection when they approached you for shelter? A Kshatriya should protect people. Even if he's his enemy, if he comes and surrenders, you have to offer protection. So is there something that you could not do? Is that why you are so pale and you are so dejected, and all these things? Is it happening because of that? That's what he's asking. Have you contacted a woman of impeachable character? Or have you not properly treated a deserving woman? Or have you been defeated on the way by someone who's inferior or equal to you? There are three things that he is asking, which is very degradable. That means, have you contacted a woman of impeachable character? Or have you not properly treated a deserving woman? These two together, if you see. So in those days, it is mentioned that, like, having between man and women, it is natural to have contact, right? Prabhupada writes that. And therefore, there is a kind of a guideline given. In those days, it is very clear that one who's considered, it is not by, by birth, that we need to understand. This system of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, don't take it that, it is by birth. That is how we have made it in our local thing. Therefore, it is understood, oh, Brahmana, that means casteism and all these things. But don't understand it that way. It is about the quality. Here also Prabhupada is writing quality. So a person who's at a, mentally, the consciousness level is at like a Brahmana stage, actually he can give, rather contact women of a Vaishya, a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. But it cannot be from a lower end to the other end. For example, if he is a Kshatriya, he cannot contact a woman of who's a Brahmana. Brahmana means a Brahmana's daughter or like that. So generally the Brahmins, the guru's wife, Brahmins are generally gurus, and their wives are considered mothers. They are considered as one of the 7 mothers. So a Kshatriya cannot look at a woman from a Brahmanical category as someone whom he can have a relationship with. And there are historical examples also, where a Brahmin lady wanted a contact with a Kshatriya, and the Kshatriya rejected her. That, no, it is not possible like that. And there are other cases where Brahmana actually married or had contact with someone lower down. For example, Parasara Muni, right? He is such a great personality, but he came in contact with a fish, a fisherman's daughter, who was very low class in whatever, right from the environment or the kind of their evolution in consciousness or whatever. But then he accepted her, and then to them came a beautiful personality called Vyasadeva. Like this, there are many such stories. Therefore, it is important that one needs to follow this principle very clearly. And a man cannot refuse protection to a woman who approaches him and asks for this. So those days it is allowed. A man will have 2-3 kind of women, but then it has to follow this procedure. If it is not, therefore, if a woman who's higher up comes and asks for that protection, a man has to deny that. So that is this impeachable character as well as a deserving women is been explained like this by Prabhupada. So he's saying, did you mess up with any of these principles that we are supposed to follow? And is that because of that, are you feeling bad? So he's asking these questions. And the next one is, are you being defeated by someone inferior to you? This is another thing. A Kshatriya, it is okay if you are defeated by someone who is senior to you. It is not actually something where you have to feel bad about. For example, Arjuna was defeated by Bhishma Dev, the Pitamaha. Now, and Krishna came to protection. You remember that Krishna immediately took that chariot, the wheel of the chariot, and went running towards Bhishma Dev because Arjuna was defeated, and therefore he did not want Bhishma Dev to kill him. He wanted to personally go and protect, even though he had taken a vow, I will not fight in this battlefield. So that is so much of love that Krishna, he was ready to sacrifice his promise also, that or his own tapasya to say I will not fight, but he took up arms. That is another thing. But the point here is, if Arjuna was defeated by Bhishma Dev, then that's natural. So why to feel bad about it? Nothing like that. A senior can defeat a junior. But when it comes to Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna were considered equal. Maybe Kṛṣṇa is senior to him by age and maybe even is his elder brother, but in terms of the powers, he is supposed to be equal, and therefore for Arjuna to be defeated by Kṛṣṇa is a big problem. Therefore Krishna used different methods to actually somehow trick Kṛṣṇa to be killed by Arjuna, killed by the Pandavas like this. Therefore these are all, there are dishonor and things that Kshatriya perceives. So Yudhishthira is asking, is that a problem? Like that. Now finally we are coming to the last two verses. Have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meals alone? These are all very nice things, right? When you are anyone, a grahastha is supposed to feed a lot of people. It's not like, I will just simply eat for my gratification. No, they should actually, in fact, it is mentioned, some of the, every Brahmana or anyone who's Kshatriya or anyone, they are supposed to, before they eat, they should go out and say, hey, is there anyone who has not eaten? Please come. They should invite, I believe. They should go on 3 times, they should call. Is there anyone who has not eaten? Is there anyone hungry? Please come. Like this 3 times they have to ask. And then whoever is there, they should offer them. And if nobody is there, they can eat prasadam like this. So is there something like happened? Arjuna did not do that. And therefore he is feeling remorse. That is the next verse. Then finally, the last one. Or is it that you are feeling empty for all time because you might have lost your most intimate friend, Lord Kṛṣṇa? Oh, my brother Arjuna, I can think of no other reason for you becoming so dejected. So basically he has been asking all these questions and Arjuna did not answer as yes to any of them. Therefore he kept on asking the next question. Finally, having ruled out everything, he comes to this conclusion, therefore something has happened to Lord Kṛṣṇa. And that is why he is actually in this state. So he is concluding like this, and he is also able to corroborate with so many things with Narada Muni already told him that, these things, and he also saw so many omens which were not favorable, that the Lord is possibly left, and therefore all these things are happening. Finally, after ruling out everything, he comes to this last question to say, has Kṛṣṇa left this world? Your best friend, has he left this world? Is that why you are feeling unprecedented lamentation? Is that what it is? So with that, this chapter is coming to an end. The disappearance of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So we will continue next week. If there are any questions or comments, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Dandavad pranams, Prabhuji.
All glories to Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Sri Hari Prabhu, any announcement for today?
No, Prabhu. Actually, anybody wants to show their altar, they can show. If anybody wants to show their altar, they can show their altar. We can spotlight. Yeah.
Any devotees want to show their altar?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Siddhi Mataji is showing her altar. I will spotlight her.
Yes, yes. We can sing Damodar Ashtakam, or you can play Damodar Ashtakam, Prabhu.
Yes, yes, sure.
Can you spotlight Mataji?
Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkunda
Hare Krishna.
Madhavamanam Paramrishtamatyantato Drutya Gopya Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rijantam Karambhoja Yugmena Satankanetram Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rijantam Karambhoja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhushvasakam Patrirekhankakanta Stitagraivam Damodaram Bhakti-badham Muhushvasakam Patrirekhankakanta Stitagraivam Damodaram Bhakti-badham Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Itirdriksvalilabhir Anandakunde Swagosham Nimajjantam Akhyaapayantam Itirdriksvalilabhir Anandakunde Swagosham Nimajjantam Akhyaapayantam Tadiyeshitagneshu Bhaktairjitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Tadiyeshitagneshu Bhaktairjitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam
Thank you, Mataji, for very nice darshan. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you all devotees for joining today. Please join tomorrow again. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.